Good morning. I'm very happy to be with you on this second Sunday of Ordinary Time. I'm Father John Hynes, pastor of St. Catherine of Siena Parish in Wilmington, Delaware. Today we hear the Gospel of Cana. And in thinking about it, it struck me how many examples exist in the world of opposites being attracted. The right hand and the left hand are necessary for going to clap. Two right hands wouldn't do it, nor would all the intricate work that we must do in some form or other in the course of a day. And we can think of the extremes of light and darkness, or of hot and cold. When it's too cold, we want warmth. When it's too warm, we need some cool. And somehow the meeting of the two produces the desirable state. But the most striking example of a pairing of opposites is man and woman. And of course, marriage, the sacrament of marriage, gives us a sign of something deeper than itself. What happened at Cana? Well, several things happened, but the changing of the water into wine occupies a central place. What is that saying to us? The water is human love. Human love is magnificent. It's emotional. It's passionate. It's life-changing. It motivates people to do things they would never have done, good things. And yet, like the water, the human love cannot give everlasting joy. The wine, which Jesus has transformed from water, is a sign to us of the joy that has no end, and the love which has no limit. This is a divine love, taken in human form. And so more even than the marriage of man and woman, the marriage of human and divine in Jesus is the mystery of Cana. All of us, whether we're married or single, widowed, divorced, children, aged adults, we all have a part in this mystery, the mystery of the divine and the human coming together, because we are then able to love with a love which is without regret and a love which is without conditions. This is important to recognize, especially in our time, because of the fragility of marriage. 4 generations ago, when our ancestors lived in small villages in foreign countries, the natural makeup of the small village kept people together in their marriage, like stones in a stone wall support one another. Today, when people come and go, when individual freedom and options are at a peak, that does not happen. So there are many divorces. Maybe marriages which would have survived in an earlier time do not survive today. So the wine which Jesus transformed from water is a sign of human love touched by God in such a way that this love is not breakable. This love is not fragile. This love perdures, what the church calls the indissolubility of marriage. But something needs to be said. When does this love, which makes marriage a sacrament, come into existence? Does it happen the moment the couple pronounce their vows, or when they come together in mutual union as husband and wife on the first night? Technically, that would be what the church law says. The truth is, as we all know from experience, love between a man and woman who are in marriage comes into existence stage by stage. The old marriage encounter slogan was, "Love is a decision." A long series of decisions to love, to put the other person ahead of selfish interest, is what produces the wine of a permanent sacramental marriage. We can see this indirectly because the church permits what we call annulments. A married person in a second marriage who's divorced from the first spouse can seek annulment from the church, but through a very intricate process which has to prove, according to law, that the first marriage was not a marriage. Much more realistic and much more effective is that a couple who are in a second marriage after a divorce and feel like they're cut off from the church should talk to a sympathetic priest to see what can be done, even if the courtroom of the law, the church's law, does not permit it. Because the force that makes a couple one in union, in marriage, is not a law, but it's the unbreakable love brought about by the presence of Christ. Sometimes this is evident, very evident in the second marriage, and very obviously lacking in the first. I bow with deep respect to many of you who are married and through the years have come into a marriage of unconditional love. You might wake up some morning and say, how did the two of us ever get married? How did the two of us, we're so different? And then not long later, afterwards, you'll find yourself saying, what other person in the world could know me so deeply and love me so much as this person I'm married to? Both those thoughts can come across your mind. So I salute you who are married. I think of a good marriage, so many of you are in, as like a lighthouse with a beacon streaming its light far out to sea. And in the light of that beacon, many other ships with their crew and their passengers and their cargo can find their way safely to harbor, avoiding the reefs and the rocks and the wrecks. That is what a marriage in which the wine of Cana runs can do. So I salute you, and I ask God's blessing upon you once again.